Morning guys, welcome to the Fantasy Panda YouTube channel where we're here chatting about FPL, NFL, all these other different sports that we play fantasy wise and a few other sporting events. Just a quick shout and a quick thank you to everyone that watched after my first video. Got over 450 views and 26 subscribers. I never imagined it was going to be that many. Having done research into other people's YouTube channels, they were delighted to get 100 views in the first few videos. So to hit it with my first one, I was really happy with that. So a big thank you for that. Just going to start a little bit of a somber note in the world of boxing, really. I put up a tweet about Maxim Dadashev and the video analysis from the corner that showed his trainer pull him out of the fight when the rest of the team wanted him to carry on. Yes, it was a bit sad, so I do apologise if it offended anyone, but I put it out there because I'm a massive boxing fan, massive MMA fan, and it kind of showed like where that sport's got to come up to in terms of healthcare and quality, and kind of links to football, but we saw it in the research with concussions, etc. And there's a massive turn in football going on at the moment, so hopefully we won't see a footballer receive the same fate. Second tweet that kind of picked up a bit was the Kolasinac video. I won't need to say much more than that, and I joked at the time he was a bit of a madman, that was on the team, but most importantly everyone was safe. And the third tweet that kind of went off a bit mad this last 2 weeks into my last video was the Harry Wilson goal. We don't need to say much more about his left foot, it's just nice to see him doing a Liverpool shirt for me. So yeah, good on him. Just quickly, I've changed the interface up the last few, since the last video. I've kind of added a few little bits here and there, and I've added a box here that's kind of got people complimenting as they go. It's quite nice because you put a lot of time into your content, you put a lot of time into your account. I'm always getting fired questions, whether it's through the interface of Twitter, whether it's through the direct messages, whether it's through the YouTube channel. And I just try and answer everything I can. And it's just nice now to get some feedback, and people appreciate the work you do. So I've just put that on the sidebar there to kind of show like my thanks for people giving me the thanks type thing. Top right hand corner, it's talking about the 2,000 FPL players in the Fantasy Panda League, which is free to enter. Obviously, it's £100 to the winner. Most of you will probably know this because you watched the first video. But it's £100 for the winner and £10 for managing a month. And anywhere in the world you're eligible, as long as you can receive the money through PayPal. It says 2,000 players in the corner. It's now over 2,500. It's probably going to be 2,600. Hopefully by the end of the next Friday when Liverpool kick off against Norwich, it'll be 2,750, 2,800 players, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you if you joined that league, and hopefully it'll be really competitive and everyone will enjoy it. Yeah, just going back to the interface, obviously I've kept my last season down here. I'm only going to keep that for one more week, so I'm going to live on that for the next while. I'm going to keep living on that going forward, and then once week one happens, this game, it'll all go, and it'll literally be down to all the same. Last season. So I'm going to enjoy that for a little bit more. I'm sure you can appreciate I can enjoy that for another 7 days. Yeah, I've gone back to changing my team since. I think I had draft 1. This is my draft 2. What I try and do is just kind of change little pieces as I go. I try and don't do 45 transfers in a day because it just sends yourself mad. I don't know how other people have been fine. I've been seeing a few tweets from scrolling down my home page. People getting mad or getting confused, getting really angry with it and losing the will to kind of follow FPL. So that's why I learned from previous years. Just take your time, take a few days out, make one transfer, have a little read of another transfer, have a little read of other people's opinions, because the information out there is fantastic. Because I had Kolasinac, a lot of people questioned me about, and I had Josh King, and since then I thought I've gone away from that move and brought Ryan Fraser in for Bournemouth, and I can see a few changes going on my team here over the next 7 days. But what I don't want to do is kind of make too many at once and then think, well, what was my team 9 picks ago? Well, I didn't save a draft or I didn't make a note, and you end up kind of just going around in circles and getting yourself more confused. So I'm just trying to take my time with it. With my players that I've now brought in, obviously my love affair with Dwight McNeil's still there. He is at risk, to be fair, because after game week 1 he will not be ready until about game week 4 to be a constant player. So he is at risk at the moment, because obviously I did have Zaha and I took him out, and I do want some Everton cover in midfield, but we shall see how that goes over the next 7 days, see what happens with the transfer of Zaha or Everton. Obviously we've made a few players, so will they spend money now? Pascal Gross has come in just because of his form 2 seasons ago, and the money that he's worth now, I think it's kind of good value. I did say I don't like Brighton's manager and the attacking play. The way he plays is a bit overhyped, and I think they could be relegation contenders. But I think that's because they're going to concede a lot of goals. If Lewis don't goes, I know they've signed Aidan Flint today and they signed Matt Clark from Pompey, but I can see them scoring goals still with someone like Gross. But we'll see what happens in 7 days. But my locks are definitely now Deeney, Kane, Fraser, Salah, De Bruyne, Robertson, Ederson. So that leaves me now Ake, Coleman, McNeil and Gross. So I'm down to 4. Last week I think I was 5 or 6. With Coleman being pretty much 3/4 of a lock unless I bring Digne. So that's kind of an Everton guarantee. So it's Ake, McNeil and Gross that I'm really working on getting out. going forward. Obviously on the bench I've gone Callum Chambers just because he's been playing in pre-season. I did have Charlie Taylor, Burnley. Left back that I've always liked since he played for Leeds. I think he's quite a good player. So that could transfer back. And Greenwood and Kelly, well, I don't know. I spoke about Greenwood the week before, and Kelly, yeah, I think Kelly is probably a 4 million player. I did have Grant Hanley, but they got Liverpool, and I think Norwich will go down this season. I think the bookies have them at 11 to 10, so it's going to be a very tough season for them going forward. Just quickly, I'm going to bring up the friendlies count. I've seen a lot of people get very carried away with friendlies. Oh, he's doing this, he's done that. And I think John Lundstrom's the man of the moment for Sheffield United. People keep raving about, yeah, he keeps starting in friendlies, he keeps starting. Certain managers put players in to sell them. John Lundstrom was a player that I know quite about. I saw him play a lot in League One and League Two when he moved from Everton down to Oxford, and he didn't have blistering pace. He doesn't do a lot in midfield. He just makes the game tick. For FPL opinion, for me, even if he was to play, he wouldn't get you a lot. He was a yellow card magnet in League One and Two, and the improved pace of the Prem, I think he would get found out if he was to play. So I don't understand the Lundstrom bandwagon from my previous history that I know about that player. I've seen him playing cup finals, etc. So I would kind of avoid the Lundstrom bandwagon myself. And personally, I don't think he could play it, and I can see him being out of Sheffield United by Christmas. Especially in the January transfer window, I can see him moving on to a Championship club. So from there, also for people with friendlies, especially a week, 2 weeks before, he's not playing. What's wrong with him? To get to peak performance, sometimes in clubs, what they do is some of them train in the morning, so they will play away. For example, let's use Southampton example. On the south coast, they could be playing 2 hours away. So what a lot of them do is get in and train in the morning, and some of them won't even play that game because they've got more out of the training session in terms of the fitness. And the intensity they've worked out without the risk of receiving challenges and the injuries through contact, twisting and turning on the pitch, So some of them, kind of get balanced out that way, ready because of previous knocks or summer injuries. A player that I can remember quite well doing this, having read an article in 442 a very long time ago, was a player called Sully Montari. Some of you may remember playing for Portsmouth, and I think he ended up going to Sunderland in the Prem. But when he was at Inter Milan, he had a history of getting hamstring tightness, so all they did was through pre-season was put him in bubble wrap, rubber wrap, and then he'd turn up fit as a fiddle, but you hadn't had any of the contact risk or any injuries from there. So there is ways you managing players. You just got to kind of read, and there's some great tweets out there from people in clubs that are putting out saying, don't worry about that player, he will be ready. I think Delafeu didn't play today, from reading between the lines. I don't personally think that'd be anything to worry about. So friendlies, for me, yes, you can get very carried away and very overrated what goes on with them, and sometimes you look at the pace that a friendly's played, and I wouldn't even take anything from those games and go forward. So going for players that I think I was going to put in my team, I've made a little note down here that players I was going to put in my team. And for Ederson, I'm just looking at Ederson and thinking, does David De Gea really going to have a revival? You think this time last year he was the best keeper on FPL. He had the biggest point of the whole of the season before. Yes, I know Mourinho was in charge. It was a bit more defensive. But I'm thinking for $5.5 million, is David De Gea going to be the person that people are going to be clambering back towards now? And they signed Harry Maguire and his big slab head, and they got Wan-Bissaka, and I'm a big Lindelof fan. I'm not sold on Luke Shaw. I know he was their player of the year, and he was their fans' player of the year, but I'm still not sure about his professionalism at times. But at the back four, you have to say they're improved. I know Harry Maguire's 80 million. I know he's more than Van Dijk, but he definitely makes Man United better. Whether it's a value for money is another thing to be had, but when you're Man United and you're desperate, you know you're going to have to pay more for players and take it from there. So the De Gea move for Garwin and Maguire at the back in terms of FPL, I think when fixtures change, it's certainly one to look, to make note of and maybe try and jump on that little bandwagon beforehand, especially if you've got 5.5 from Wan-Bissaka or Maguire at the back. I can see that definitely being worthwhile. I've seen a few people on Twitter this week having arguments with each other about playing 5 at the back and 3-5-2, and I mentioned in my first video that I play it for this way. What I don't understand is when people argue about other people's opinions. As long as you're explaining your opinion, say good luck to people for other people's opinion, that's all that matters. Well, I don't know why people I saw a few tweets from people saying, well, you're playing 5 at the back, that's wrong. Well, look, I don't play that way, but I would never tell someone how to play the game. I think once you tell people how to play the game, you make yourself look a nugget, but 2, what are you trying to achieve by saying you're wrong, because you're just going to set yourself up for a fall. So just give you advice. And if you want to make your account grow on Twitter, I think the best way to be is positive and appreciate other people's opinions, because make your opinion change. The amount of times I've gone in there into a conversation with someone on FPL Twitter, they've only got like 25 followers, and they've gone and taught me something. I thought, well, I never even thought of that way, or I never even fathomed that idea or that ideology. Why didn't I try that? So don't ever think, hey, I must put my opinion across in no one else's way. That's not the way you're going to learn. So hopefully that timeline on my home line when I'm scrolling down will change a little bit more positively. So yeah. Just quickly going into what summer, so another week to go, and I've been trying to take myself off Twitter a little bit and just trying to read a few things. And a few of you may realise now that the old Fantasy Premier League book come out from the guys from FPL Diary have brought this out, and this come through the post, and I've read a few chapters and it was absolutely fantastic. There's a few things in here that I have to bring up quickly. Better not lose my bookmark. There's a fall from Jules Breach, who we all know about, was on the FPL show. I will find it, 2 seconds. There you go. Some people think FPL is a matter of life or death. I assure you it's much more serious than that. With the amount of hours we all spend looking at our teams, we know that's a factor. Sometimes we wish we could just fall asleep and never see it again when it drives up the wall. And the other one, here we go, I just made the note here. And the early bird catches the price rise. So when I was linking back to Maguire, De Gea, I think sometimes, and I mentioned the other week about can you jump ahead of your mini league players and the people you're competing against and find that early bird, that player you can just catch. Callum Wilson last year, Ryan Fraser last year, Raul Jimenez, Matt Doherty, they're the players. If you can get them right and them early on, you will be absolutely laughing in your leagues and your rank will go forward. I was explaining to someone earlier that I didn't have Ryan Fraser all the last season. So I got away with that one. Matt Doherty, I didn't have all the last season. But luckily what I did have is the players that went in when they were cold, and when they come out hot, I had other players making up for it. I think there was a time when Ryan Fraser got hot, Felipe Anderson got hot. I got very lucky with that. So you don't necessarily have to have the same players, but you have to have the same players at the same, different players at the same times to make up for their points. Then obviously I got Diego Jota in at the end of last season when he hit that bit of form at the same time as Jimenez. So it kind of cancels out. But as long as you're aware of what those players are, and as it says here, the early bird catches the price rise, I think sometimes the early bird also catches and be able to kind of conflict that results and kind of balance them out. So make sure you've got a kind of idea of what's going on out there and kind of just see what the template for certain players are and just kind of think, well, I don't want him in, but how can I counteract him if he scores loads of points? I think there was a time with Richarlison last year, at the start of the season, I think he always starts really well. He did it for Watford, did for Everton last year. He scored there was 4 games in a row, got loads of points, and then he got a red card. So there's balance in it. It's just balancing your team. The other quick reading was the season preview from 442. Comes out every season, absolutely fantastic. Always gives you players to highlight, and it always gives you players to watch for every single team. And it actually comes from the fans as well. So it's a really good read, and there's players in here, and there was one player from West Ham that came up. And I've seen a few people mention him on Twitter, and it was Ben Johnson, the fullback, who could end up starting. I think he's 4 mil. And there's a player on there, they're raving about him in this article here, and the guy's called at the H list. So he's mentioned West Ham players, and I think definitely one to watch. And if it wasn't for the preview, I probably kind of took it with a pinch of salt about Twitter. So thank you 442 for that. Quickly, just cash leagues. I've had a lot of questions about cash leagues this last 10 days. How are you running a cash league this year? Are you doing a cash league? And it's kind of got to a stage where it's like, when there's so much going on, like cash leagues kind of take a lot of time up to organise. And you can spend hours and hours doing admin, chasing money. And the only advice I'd give to people that are trying to find cash leagues through Twitter and Twitter only is make sure they've got a history of having the league. I've seen a few leagues that come up and I think, there's no way I would join that. There's no way I'd pay to join that. Just because, one, I've heard of some stories in the past where people have ran off of money, and two, these accounts have been set up for a month, maybe 2 months max, and you're thinking, well, what's going to stop them deactivating in 2 months' time? There's no trace of these people that are randomly setting leagues up. So make sure you just kind of do your checks and you ask around to certain people. Have you joined this league? Have you joined that league? What did you make when you paid? Just don't just go and join leagues blind and start throwing your money away, because eventually one of them will sting you, and who wants to throw 20 quid down the drain to someone you don't know and then try and chase it, because you will not get it back. So yeah, just make sure you're careful of that. And if you want to join a cash league, just get a few people together. Like some of the best leagues I'm in are like what I call a micro cash league, where there's 6 of us, six of you in, £10 each, is 60 quid. The winner gets 50, the second gets the 10 back, the other 4 lose. So there is that potential. If you want to set one of them, I'll happy set a couple of micro cash leagues up if you want a few people to have 6 or 7 people in a league. I'm happy to do that because the admin's minimal. But when you start joining leagues of 230 people at 10 quid each, it's just absolute chaos. I haven't got the time at the moment to set one of those up. So if someone wants to set one up, and use my account to kind of help, I'm more willing to do that, but I'm not willing to set one up myself because I haven't got the time. Just quickly as well, I put a poll up for the Work Cash League I joined. So some of you had a few comments on this, and it was a hilarious comment about Brendan from account to win it. But I put a poll about, they don't know about my history in FPL. They don't know what I won last year because it's a relatively new workplace, and most of them are very new to the game, or should we say play part-time. They wouldn't have had any pre-season looking in knowledge. They wouldn't have any knowledge how to use their chips. They wouldn't have, they'll probably forget the teams over Christmas and stuff. And they're like, I'm trying to join, it's 20 quid in, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll join. And then I kind of had a conscience, do I say something or do I not? And there was just under 200 votes on Twitter. And 90% came back, no, don't say anything, take the cash. 10% said yes. And some of you said, well, tell them, because if you're good enough, you win. But if I say I did this last year, they won't let me enter. So I think I'm going to keep quiet and take the money. And like some of you said, if you don't say anything and someone 1% chance does win it, well, at least you don't look a fool now. And if Brenda from Account wins it, well, I'll give up FPL Twitter. If there is someone from Account in it, let alone called Brenda, which is quite funny. Yeah, so just going to move on to the few questions that I've had. So I had my good friend Brian. I always put him in my tweets. He mentioned some F1. I've mentioned him last video, and he said to me about Liverpool regressing because they haven't signed anyone and they've had a poor pre-season. I won't worry about the pre-season too much. I think people forget part of big of Liverpool's defending is the pressing from the front, and without the players they've had and some of the players they've had in over pre-season, that's definitely been missing, which has then put the back four under more pressure. I still personally wouldn't play three Liverpool at the back. I mentioned in the last video, I think that I want one of the front three, but I certainly wouldn't put people off playing Robertson and Trent, or Robertson Van Dijk, or Trent and Van Dijk, or whatever combination you want to play. Because I think Liverpool will keep some clean sheets. Will they keep as many as last year? Who knows? It's football. You can't play that. You can't start guaranteeing who's going to do what, who's going to do that. In terms of regressing, I can't see them getting 97 points. I think it'd be a little bit less, but I definitely think they'll be in the top two. Whether it's City wins the league or Liverpool, I don't know, because I think City will want that Champions League a little bit more than ever after last year's VAR debate. So I don't think they regress in terms of league position. I think they get a few less points, but that's the questions that are asked for you, Brian. I had another one from Buddy, who asked me, will Moise Kean start over Dominic Calvert-Lewin? If it was 2 weeks ago, I'd have said guaranteed. If he joined 2 weeks ago, 100% he'd start. But now it's kind of just come into the he's settling Everton, it's settling to England. Will he start? I don't know. Over the period of time, I think he will. And I think he'll probably go on to do quite well. In terms of FPL, I wouldn't touch Calvert-Lewin or Moise Kean until I know who's playing where, especially when you've got the same options of Sigurdsson and Richarlison and Digne. I think they'd be your safer Everton picks and wait for that player there. In terms of West Ham as well, I think I saw that Haller in a pre-season game. He looked fantastic, but until the Premier League kicks off, can you afford to take that gamble when you've got options like Deeney and at 6.5 mil? I think I'll take the Prem proven until I've seen those players play. It's a massive gamble. Trying to get them right early doors. Yes, you get one or two right. I think Salah a couple of years ago was 9.5 and people got him right, and people have been saying about Arsenal's new signing. Not for me, not taking the gamble. But good luck to you do, and it could be a rank breaker. It could push you right up there and people won't be able to catch. So all the best if you do choose to do that. Just a quick few shout outs really. Joined the league. I put back months ago, a guy called FPL Simpson put a tweet out saying, come and join the league, we're going to have loads of divisions, etc. It's called the Duff Bowl, and I put it in there and I totally forgot about it, and he sent me a message saying, look, we're going to join it. It's Discord chat and everything. It's a really well organised league, and he's giving me a shout out the other day, and he's a fantastic guy. He's not actually lived that far from me either, so that was quite weird, and we started talking about certain things we know about in certain areas. But yeah, cheers for that, mate. Much appreciated. FPL Mate 38, a small account, but he just wanted to, interact with little bits I was doing and ask him about certain bits. So as a shout out for you, mate. FPL Mel out in, should we say Barbados or Bahamas, whichever way you want to put it. You know what I mean by that. Always interacting with certain bits that I do. Fantasy Football Community and Holly's shout for giving me a shout out on their article for the best mini league, free 20 mini league. Some of the accounts on there they put me alongside like 90 Matt and stuff and things I've been playing for years. And next, my league was on there, and quite incredible really. So thank you for that, because it's given me loads of new followers and a lot more interaction with, should we say, higher end fantasy football accounts that I really were looking towards a year ago when I set this up, saying, well, how can I achieve their setups? How can I achieve their target audience? So that's massive help. Going forward, Fantasy Football Club was our account. Sorry, I didn't mention that there. It was Fantasy Football Community, and then going forward. Fan Football Club is another one who's been, like all my tweets, he's been making sure everything I do, he's just been looking across, interacting, and giving me a shout out. And thank you for that, because as you done that, there was more accounts debating. So we're in that 6 or 7 accounts debating certain points, and there's points where I was thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I need to actually change my ideology on that midfielder, or I need to make sure when I look at your tweets, like, how does that affect my team? Sometimes I just read a tweet and I just discard it because it doesn't affect my team. Well, can it affect my team? You know, the more times you ask yourself when, why, how can I do this? Why does it do this? Or why is he thinking like that? Or he's got an idea about this player. Have I considered that player? No. So can I listen and maybe interact and maybe deal with, well, if he enters my midfield and I save 0.5 on this player, how can I then use that 0.5 to then upgrade for someone like Coleman to Digne? So yeah, big shout out for that, mate. FPL Bricky gave me an FF, you know, Friday follow. Good account, always interacting with people, so I appreciate that, mate. You put me alongside some real good accounts. And FB Booner gave me a shout out. I think it's on the box on the right, just as we speak, about saying don't discredit yourself, dude, right up there. Someone like his, with the Elite FPL, giving me a shout out and mentioning me in that way, absolutely incredible. So I really appreciate that, mate. So thank you. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we're going to end on this video for now. I've mentioned the team briefly, and I'm not going to go into it too much more because, as you know, there's a week to go and there's a few more signings. There could be a few injuries, and I'll do another video next week, and then I'll do a big team announcement of how I'm going to attack this first game week or first 2 game weeks, going from there. So yeah, if you've got any questions or you want to interact, you know, I'm always here to be hit up by. You know, it says on the bottom here at the chat bar, or mention me on Twitter, and give anything. I'll always get back to you. And the last thing is, next Saturday at 2 o'clock, I'll be streaming live. I'm going to stream all the way through the 3 o'clocks, giving the FPL lowdown on every player, as the goals go in, the assists go in, the yellow cards, the red cards, whatever it's going to be on. So I'm going to be streaming on YouTube live from 2 p.m. roughly. I'm going to give all the team announcements, go all the way through to gone 5:30, going from that way. So hopefully you can join me there, and if you can, that'd be fantastic. If you can't, you can catch up, or you can just interact with me leading up to it. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go back and watch the last bit of the championship game. So big thank you for watching. Always a pleasure, never a chore, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.